What's going on, everyone? Darkside Phil here, and welcome to the Hateful Truth video game review series, where I give you maximum truth and minimum bullshit regarding the latest retail releases. And the game that we're going to talk about in this particular video, unfortunately, I really feel is falling into a category that has become completely oversaturated at this point, has been for some years, to be completely honest. And if I were possibly maybe, talking about this game 2 to 3 years ago, might have been like, wow, this is really great, and this is a really interesting, fun game. But I really feel that because so many people are putting out this type of game, and it's been done so many times before, that this game unfortunately kind of gets lost in the shuffle. Especially now that we're in the hardcore gaming season of 2012, and you've got so many games being released. This is probably one that a lot of people skipped, and if they didn't, it was unfortunately for all the wrong reasons. So anyway, let's get to it. The game that I'm actually talking about is Medal of Honor Warfighter, okay? A first-person shooter game. It's actually the direct sequel to the Medal of Honor reboot from 2 years ago. That's right, back in 2010, if you remember, there was a game called Medal of Honor. It followed a group of Tier 1 special operatives who were out to stop terrorism, and they went all throughout the Middle East, hunting down these different terrorist cells and sects, and it had some cool features like breaching of doors and stuff like that. It had an interesting campaign, and it had some decent online play. Medal of Honor Warfighter belches in your face, but outside of that, Medal of Honor Warfighter continues the story of this same group of Tier 1 operatives, okay? It's now 2 years later. More has transpired. Some of these guys are having family problems because they're constantly traveling around the world to fight terror. And the game really does follow in the footsteps of its predecessor, meaning that it really treats these guys with a lot of respect. It really makes you feel like, wow, these guys are out there sacrificing their actual personal lives for the sake of our freedom, for the sake of defending the free world from these crazy, I'm trying to think of the word, these outrageous religious sects and things that feel that everyone else is the enemy, and they're going to do crazy things like suicide bombings and stuff to get their points across. So, Medal of Honor Warfighter has a campaign based off of those lines, and then it also has a very large multiplayer component, okay? The campaign of Medal of Honor Warfighter is unique for several different reasons. It still has the same, first-person shooter gameplay that most of these games like Call of Duty and such have been doing. These, it's dramatic, it's got an interesting story, it's got a cast of characters that are likable, and you're going to travel throughout the world fighting different terrorist sects. And the thing here is that the game is unique in the point that it's really trying to be realistic. So one mission, you may be doing pretty generic FPS stuff, breaching doors and trying to shoot guys in slow motion, but then going around taking cover. And this game actually does have a cover mechanic where you can lean around corners to shoot things, and basically just like taking out terrorist groups throughout the world. But then you might get a mission that's as simple as, two terrorists or pirates or whatever you want to call them just hijack the boat, snipe them, and you're in cover. You have to get perfect sniper shots, and once you hit them, the mission's over. It's like a 2-minute mission. But that's realistic to what these Tier 1 operatives would actually do. Some missions are going to be very complicated, some missions aren't. There's actually a very, very unique mission where what you do is you go and you steal intel from someone, and now it's your job to get out of the country. And what you need to do is you're driving a car, and the game actually becomes like Metal Gear Solid, where you have to drive the car around the city and hide from these other patrolling cars that are looking for you. So you have to pull into hiding places until these guards, per se, which are really other cars, are driving by you, and they don't see you, and then you got to try to escape quickly before they turn around and see you. So they really did do a good job of trying to put a lot of variety into the campaign of Medal of Honor Warfighter. I could tell that they really put in an honest effort. And the ending of the game, I'll be completely honest, tugs at your heartstrings, really makes you feel a respect for the armed forces, for anyone who is out there risking their lives to basically defend our way of life. And I really think the game does a good job in that respect. However, The campaign's just over 5 hours long, and that's it. And in this day and age, a game with only a 5-hour campaign, okay, you know, you're kind of like, man, you know, it should have definitely had more to it than just 5 hours. So, it's kind of a double-edged sword. The campaign is short, but sweet, okay? The online play is where the majority of the gameplay of Medal of Honor Warfighter is going to be hashed out. Problem being, it's kind of like a been there, done that mentality. What you're going to have is you're going to have loadouts, okay? You're basically like I think there's 5 or 6, maybe 8 classes. I can't remember off the top of my head. Your assault class was an assault rifle and he has grenades. Your sniper who has a sniper rifle and maybe a sensor that lets you see stuff. You know, the guy with the heavy machine gun. There's a guy that actually has body armor called Demolitions, and he has extra armor, and then if he gets a kill streak, he actually gets a grenade launcher, which is pretty powerful. So similar to other first-person shooter games, you're going to pick your loadout, you're going to start fighting, you're going to get kill streaks, which are going to give you perks and bonuses, which you're going to use during the gameplay. Now, really the uniqueness of this game is that it's not really based off of like a deathmatch mentality. And not to say that you can't play it team deathmatch, you can, but the game really shines when you play the objective-based gameplay, whether it's go plant a bomb and then one team has to defend while one team tries to plant the bomb, or go capture a territory, or it's last man standing, you know what I mean, and you have to kill off everyone, stuff like that. That's really where the game shines, and when you put it on a playlist where it's going through those game modes in different orders, that's really where you're going to have a lot of fun. So, it's good, but does it really do anything groundbreaking? No. Does it really improve much or anything over previous first-person shooter military games? Not really. The biggest improvement of Medal of Honor Warfighter is that they put it on the Frostbite 2 engine. So the game looks great, but outside of that, there's really nothing that's like gripping or great about the multiplayer of the game. And in fact, after you play it for a couple sessions, you're probably going to get bored and you're probably not going to ever play it again. If anything, and this is what I mean that people might have bought this game for the wrong reasons, look what they've got on the box and what's included. A Battlefield 4 beta entry if you buy this game. And they did this actually with the last Medal of Honor, which a full year before Battlefield 3 was released, they announced you'll get entry to the Battlefield 3 beta. So basically what they're saying with this game is in a year, Battlefield 4 is coming out, and you're going to get an entry to the beta. Now, is that a reason to buy a $60 retail game? Absolutely not. And it's a shame because if you try to buy this game used, the code's gone, so you're not going to get into the beta. So, if you happen to buy the game and hold on to it for a full year, which of course then makes the game completely valueless and you'll never be able to trade it in for any additional value, you can get access to the Battlefield 4 beta. I think that this is kind of a shady business practice. It's obvious that basically what EA is saying here is we didn't feel that the game itself was a strong enough sell to just sell the game by itself. So we're also going to try to include some bonus so that people will buy the game and hold on to it and not trade it in. And therefore, they're basically cutting down on the second-hand sales, and they think it's going to cause more increased sales for the game. I doubt that's actually going to happen. The game is good. I have to say this. The campaign itself, like I said, was short and sweet, and I really enjoyed the campaign. And I really wish the campaign was longer. If the campaign had been 8 hours long, the game would have had a lot more going for it. The multiplayer, for what it is, it's fun, but it's pretty blasé. It's not really anything new, and it's nothing that you've never done before, and it's nothing that really I feel is going to hook you. There's no, you know, remember when Call of Duty originally, with the first Modern Warfare, the game that hooked everyone and started this whole Call of Duty craze. They had a hook. The hook was that they had these experience levels that leveled up, and as you leveled up, you could unlock new guns, you could unlock new loadouts, and that hooked you when you wanted to keep playing. You had prestige where you could reset and start all over, okay? With Halo there's a hook. There's unique game modes and stuff in Halo that keeps you coming back. There's really nothing unique about this game that would say, I need to go buy Medal of Honor Warfighter rather than I need to go buy another such and such first-person shooter. You're pretty much getting similar gameplay. Yeah, there's cover mechanics, like I said, where you can lean around corners and stuff. And of course, yeah, you can argue that, well, the loadouts are different or whatever. But there's really nothing great about the game. So, good campaign, short but sweet, kind of so-so multiplayer, it's better than average because the campaign really does shine. In fact, one other thing that I forgot to mention, of course, there's on-rails parts of the campaign where there's on-rail shooter. There's part where you're riding a boat and you're shooting stuff and blowing stuff up. There's actually these really cool parts of the campaign where you're piloting a remote drone that goes into these areas to infiltrate. You know, they're worried that maybe there's bombs in there, there's suicide guys in there, and so they send the drone in first. You get to control the drone and destroy stuff with the drone, and that's really neat too. You really do feel like you're in the shoes of a Tier 1 operator when you play the campaign of this game. So that being said, because it's short and sweet and kind of blasé multiplayer, I'm going to give Medal of Honor Warfighter a 6.75. It's just barely above, you know, the average game. The only reason that I think it is better than average is because the campaign does shine and has some uniqueness to it. The multiplayer is just too repetitive and boring. Been there, done that. Nothing really original. And it's just okay. So this game, kind of a letdown for me. 6.75. Okay? So that's it for this episode of the Hateful Truth video game reviews. I hope that you found it informative. You now can make an informed decision on whether or not you want to check out Medal of Honor Warfighter. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on the Hateful Truth. Peace.